Hi, my name is Pam. This is Total Pamarchy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make pop culture and nerdy inspired crafts every week, usually posting on Fridays. This week, I made Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. He's so cute. I love him so much. This week's video was fun, but also a challenge because, as some of you might know, if you've watched some of my other videos, we are on a no-buy month this month, so I wasn't able to go to the store to purchase any material to make Grogu. So I had to use what I had around the house. And I did not have any green material. So watch this video to find out how I made him, and so you can make a little Grogu of your own. Grogu is made out of socks. I had leftover socks from my Among Us crewmates video, and I'll link that in the cards up above so you can check it out if you want. I didn't have green socks, so it was a bit of a challenge. I did, however, have white socks. So I figured I have white socks, I can dye them green somehow. So I actually end up using acrylic paint to dye the white socks green. So I ended up using some acrylic paint in water. And so I just mixed some green acrylic paint that we had in some warm water and worked the paint into the sock, being careful to rub the paint throughout the sock and to work out any of the build-up paint that might have been stuck in one spot, creating like a darker area. And I let the sock sit in the water and paint mixture for a good while. I would say like a couple of hours, because I wasn't sure how long I needed to let them soak for. So this whole thing was a bit of a guessing game in order to get it right. When I was happy with how long they had been sitting, I took them over and I rinsed them in cold water. I did not use soap because I felt like that would remove the paint. When I rinsed them with cold water, the paint remained throughout the fabric, and I was actually surprised at how much the paint had stayed in the sock material. Like, it looked like it was dyed. I did try food dye as well, but that just rinsed right out of the sock, and I'm sure someone's laughing at this going, oh god, no, food dye wouldn't work. But yeah, if you were thinking about doing this on your own and you only had white socks, food dye does not work, but acrylic paint does. Then I re-dyed both socks and let them sit before rinsing and drying them. On a side note, I did notice when working with the socks and putting Grogu together that some of the paint did come off onto my fingers. I'm not sure if that would happen forever, if it was just right after they were done, but there was a little bit of transfer from him. So if you're thinking about giving this to a child to play with, just keep that in mind. If you use that trick, I would recommend just going out and getting green socks if you can. To make the head and body, I used a Sharpie to mark where I was going to cut. So I turned the sock inside out so that the marks are not visible when he's done. Cut the sock just before the heel, then flip the sock right side out again. I then grabbed some stuffing. We had bought a big bulk bag of stuffing from Len's Mills before Christmas, and then stuffed the head to the desired shape. I used green thread and loosely stitched around the sock below the stuffing and pulled tight to create the neck. I knew I wanted to add weight to the body so that he would stand up. So I gathered a Ziploc bag, duct tape, scissors, and some stuffing beads. I filled the Ziploc with beads, folded the bag, cut off the excess, and taped it up to keep it closed, but also to add extra protection so that the bag wouldn't close and any beads spill out. I added stuffing to the body and placed the weighted bag in the stuffing. You may have to fiddle with this a little bit so that you don't overstuff your head and not have enough material left for the body. Then I sewed up the opening of the bottom of the body and made Grogu's bum. To make the ears, I used the remaining pieces of sock and cut off the heel. I marked mine with a ruler and Sharpie to create 2 triangles that were roughly the same size. Then I cut diagonally from one corner to the other. I took these pieces to my sewing machine and set the stitches to a loose zigzag stitch. I pinned the long edge of the triangles and machine sewed them together. You can hand stitch if you don't have a machine, and it will totally work fine as well. I flipped the triangles right side out and used skewers to help poke out the ends. Then I cut pipe cleaner for the top of ears to help hold their shape and make them moldable. I inserted the pipe cleaner into the top of the ears, cut off the excess at the tip of the ears. I pinned along the length of the pipe cleaner and stitched up the tip of the ear and down the length of the ear beside the pipe cleaner. The machine stretched the fabric when I had sewed the seam closed before, so I hand sewed this part to help the fabric keep its shape. Then I cut off the excess pipe cleaner and material. I folded in the edges and pinned them, then sewed the ear closed. When I finished the 2 ears from one sock, I noticed they weren't the same because the cuff of the sock was fuzzier than the rest, so I decided to make 2 more ears from the other sock to make 2 matching pairs of ears. Then I awkwardly pinned the ears to the head and sewed them on from the back side of the ear. Not that you can see the stitches at all because the material is very forgiving, but I sewed up along the back edge here so that in hopes that you wouldn't see it along the front. For the eyes, I found some solid black buttons in my sewing box. I marked where I wanted to put them with pins and sewed them in place. To make the coat, I grabbed leftover fabric from past projects and decided on a beige fabric that closely resembled his color from the show. I'm no expert in fabric and I have no idea what kind of fabric this is. I had purchased it for a Ray cosplay that I had made over a year ago and I can't remember what it is at all. At one point I thought I'd use some white cotton that I had left over from making masks because it was a little bit thicker fabric. So I attempted dyeing it with tea bags to get the right color. Dyeing the white cotton fabric with tea did actually work. This is what it looks like. So if you only have white fabric and you want beige fabric in order to make his coat, you can dye it with tea bags. So I used about 3 tea bags, boiling water, let it sit for a long time, pulled it out and rinsed it and dried it. And this is the color that it ended up being. And this is compared to the fabric that I used to that color. I ended up liking this other fabric that I had better, so I ended up just using that for his coat. But if you only had white, you can make beige. I decided on the thin beige fabric and doubled it up because it was so thin just to make it a little bit thicker. I wrapped it around Grogu to see how much I would need and cut that length. It was about 14 inches. I folded the collar seam of the coat around 1 inch wide and pinned that, and folded the bottom seam at about a 1/2 inch and pinned that. You can also use pinking shears here on the edges to prevent fraying of your fabric. I sewed the seams on my machine. Then I folded in the ends of the jacket to about 1 inch, pinned them, and checked the fit on Grogu to see if it was a good length, and then I sewed them together. To close the coat, I found some adhesive Velcro circles in my sewing box. I stuck them to the collar of the coat and used a pin to mark where the second piece would go. And he's done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I have inspired you to go out and make your own little sock Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, today so he can sit on your shelf and be extra cute and adorable. Or if you have any family members who would love this as a gift, he's just so cute and super easy to make. You don't need much skill, trust me. I am not an expert sewer and he is freaking adorable. If you like this video, consider subscribing to my channel. You'd really make my day. And give this video a thumbs up if you love Grogu. Until next time, bye.